Barislend is a good example of a supplement that's built more on marketing hype than solid science. Over time, it's attracted so many imitators that looking for it online feels like navigating a maze of knockoffs. At this point, it's nearly impossible to know exactly what you're buying, or whether the ingredients inside even match the promises on the label. Still, let's set the marketing spin aside and take a closer look at the ingredients most likely to appear in the original Barislend formulas, assuming that even matters at this point. Do any of them have credible science behind them when it comes to weight loss? One ingredient that pops up frequently is green tea extract. It's commonly used in weight loss supplements because it contains EGCG, a compound often linked to fat burning. The idea sounds appealing, but here's the reality. To see any meaningful effect, you'd need anywhere between 500 and 800 milligrams of EGCG per day. That's about the same as drinking 8 or more cups of green tea every single day. Unfortunately, Barislend is sold as a dropper supplement, meaning it only delivers tiny amounts per dose. EGCG doses that are too low are unlikely to have any beneficial effects for weight loss. This is a common problem with liquid dropper supplements. They just don't pack enough of the active ingredient to be useful. By the way, I review a lot of supplements here, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay updated, and support me on Ko-fi if you enjoy the content. Another ingredient sometimes listed is tryptophan, an amino acid often associated with improving sleep and mood. While there's some limited evidence that it might help with sleep, the claims around mood support are shaky at best. In fact, major guidelines from groups like the World Federation of Societies of Biological Psychiatry and the Canadian Network for Mood and Anxiety Treatments specifically advise against using L-tryptophan for depression. There's also a safety note here. If you're already taking certain medications for mood, combining them with tryptophan can, in rare cases, trigger something serious called serotonin syndrome. So using tryptophan to improve mood is not as simple or as safe as some marketing might suggest. Now let's take a look at a few extra ingredients that sometimes show up in certain versions of Barislend. Not every bottle will have them. It really depends on which questionable supplement labeled Barislend you end up with. Some Barislend variations also include African mango extract. African mango, especially an extract called IGOB131, has shown some weak effects in studies. When taken at 300 milligrams per day before meals, it may slightly help support weight loss. That sounds interesting until you look closer. Most of these studies were small, poorly designed, and conducted by the same researcher, which raises big questions about bias. When independent researchers tried to replicate the results, they found no meaningful effects on body weight or fat mass. B vitamins sometimes also show up in Barislend. They play an important role in keeping your energy up and supporting a healthy metabolism. When your body doesn't get enough, it struggles to convert food into energy and burn fat efficiently. But here's the thing, these benefits mainly apply to people who are actually deficient. If your B vitamin levels are already normal, taking extra won't magically speed up your metabolism or help with weight loss. In fact, while some studies suggest that people with obesity might have lower B vitamin levels, supplementing with more B vitamins hasn't been shown to reduce body weight or BMI in any meaningful way. Cayenne extract, or its spicy compound capsaicin, sometimes show up in some Barislend formulas. The theory is that the heat from the capsaicin might rev up metabolism, help burn fat, and even activate brown fat, a special type of fat that burns energy. Most of these claims come from lab experiments in cells or mice, where capsaicin activates certain receptors called TRPV1. But the problem is what happens in a lab dish or in animals doesn't translate well to real-world results in humans. So far, clinical studies have not found that cayenne extract consistently helps people lose weight or significantly boosts metabolism. In other words, despite the hype, cayenne isn't a reliable fat loss aid. Red ginseng, also called Korean or Panax ginseng, is sometimes promoted for both blood sugar control and weight loss. The research here is mixed. A meta-analysis of studies suggests taking around 2 to 5 grams per day for several weeks might slightly lower fasting blood sugar, but it doesn't appear to improve other important markers in diabetes, like HbA1c or insulin sensitivity. As for weight loss, one small study of adults with metabolic syndrome taking up to 6 grams of Korean red ginseng daily for 8 weeks had no effect on fat or body weight. So while ginseng may have a minor role in blood sugar management, it's not useful as a weight loss supplement. Sacred mountain root is sometimes mentioned in connection to Barislend. It's traditionally been used in rituals. To date, there's no human research supporting any health benefits for this herb. Overall, when it comes to weight loss, Barislend likely doesn't do anything. Its formula leans heavily on flashy branding, buzzwords like natural or mitochondrial boosting, and vague proprietary blends instead of clinically proven and effective doses. Because these supplements aren't tightly regulated before being sold online, there's also no guarantee that what's listed on the label is actually in the bottle. Add in the flood of copycats and knockoffs sold online, and it becomes nearly impossible to know what you're really getting, or if it's even safe. The dropper format makes things worse. Droppers aren't precision tools, and each squeeze can give you a different amount of liquid, making it hard to control your dose. Furthermore, many active ingredients require hundreds to thousands of milligrams to be effective, but a dropper delivers only a fraction of that. This means that even if Barislend did include quality ingredients, which it likely doesn't, you'd still be getting far too little for it to matter. Pills and capsules, by comparison, are measured out in consistent amounts and can hold much higher doses than a dropper ever could. There's also the issue of stability. Liquid formulas are far more vulnerable to things like light, heat, and air. Each time you open the bottle and use the dropper, the ingredients inside are exposed and can slowly lose their strength. Capsules and tablets avoid this problem because they're sealed, protecting the ingredients and keeping them effective until the moment you actually take them. At around $60 per month, Barislend is a terrible buy. If you really want a proven, cost-effective option, you'd be better off with just a high-quality green tea extract, which costs only about $3 to $5 a month. Rating Barislend by effectiveness for weight loss, I'm giving it an F. It's useless for weight loss as the doses are far too low to do anything. Rating it by cost, I'm giving it a D. It can be easily replicated with much higher quality ingredients at a far cheaper cost. Rating it for safety, I'm giving it a C. With so many copycats, you can't be sure what you're getting. Overall rating, I'm giving an F. I would recommend you stay away from it. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Yeung. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, please share it with them. Finally, if you enjoy what we do and want to learn more, consider supporting us on Ko-fi, and be sure to check out our other socials as well.